Welcome viewers to the New Horizon channel, your trusted source for in-depth analysis on global affairs, military strategies, and political developments. As we navigate through the complexities of world events, our goal is to deliver accurate and comprehensive content to keep you informed. Today, we delve into the escalating tensions between Israel and Hamas, analyzing the strategic implications of a potential ground assault into Gaza. We will explore the military challenges posed by urban warfare, the humanitarian concerns, and the geopolitics at play. Stay tuned as we unravel these intricate threads in our upcoming segments. When Hamas launched an incursion into southern Israel, resulting in 1,400 casualties on October 10, the Israeli Defense Forces immediately proposed advancing into Gaza, with a ground assault expected to take place within a few days. However, the reasons for executing it at that time were not feasible. President Joe Biden's administration is concerned that the Israeli Defense Forces still lack an effective military solution for a ground operation in Gaza to eliminate Hamas. During a phone call with his Israeli counterpart Job Galen on October 23, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin emphasized that Israel needs to exercise caution in how it conducts a ground attack and a campaign to eliminate Gaza, which contains a complex network of tunnels beneath densely populated areas. The U.S. has not yet advised Israel on what to do and continues to support the plans of Defense Minister Benny Gantz. The U.S. has dispatched a three-star general, James Glean, and other officers to assist Israel in dealing with the challenges of urban warfare. However, sending General Glean to Israel does not mean that the U.S. will decide on how to proceed. If an attack and campaign to eliminate Gaza begins, Minister Austin also recalled the Mosul offensive to clear out ISIS terrorists from the city in Iraq during his tenure as head of U.S. Central Command. He pointed out that urban warfare is extremely challenging, as protecting civilians is a crucial mission. U.S. officials are concerned that the Israeli Defense Forces currently lack a clear military path to achieve the goal of eradicating Hamas, as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has suggested through discussions. Since the Hamas attack on October 10, U.S. officials have not seen a feasible action plan. Israel must decide whether to attempt to destroy Hamas through targeted airstrikes combined with special operations by the likes of U.S. fighter jets, Iraqi military forces and Kurdish forces in Mosul, or to advance into Gaza with tanks and infantry, as the U.S. Army and its allies did in Fallujah in 2004. Both tactics can result in heavy casualties for both the military and civilians. At the Pentagon, many officials believe that the Mosul and Raqqa offensives are better models of urban warfare than the previous Fallujah campaign. Michael Nye, a member of the Washington Institute, mentioned in an early-month analysis that Hamas has had 15 years to prepare a deeply integrated, layered defense system underground and on the surface, including communication tunnels, firing positions, combat locations, homemade explosive devices, various types of armored piercing mines, booby-trapped buildings, and more. U.S. Senator Jack Reed, the head of the Senate Armed Services Committee on October 22, called on Israel to postpone the ground campaign and the Gaza offensive to allow more time for the rescue of hostages and for additional humanitarian aid to be delivered to the Palestinian people. He also suggested that this delay would enable Israeli commanders to fine-tune their urban warfare plans. Senator Reed mentioned that he still supports the idea of launching a ground attack to eliminate Hamas, but he warned that an urban warfare campaign across the streets of Gaza would be a long-term effort. The U.S. military, along with U.S. support, required 9 months to fully liberate Mosul from ISIS in Iraq, which serves as a reference point for the challenges of urban warfare. According to the Jerusalem Post on October 23, another reason for the delay might be the increasing concern that Hezbollah forces in Lebanon are waiting for the right moment when most of Israel's ground forces enter Gaza, intending to open a comprehensive front with Israel to the north. The fact that Hezbollah did not engage in the October 10 attack and continues to maintain a low profile as Israel conducts its attacks raises concerns. This could potentially slow down the operation as Israeli intelligence and political circles need to carefully assess Hezbollah's intentions after the Hamas attack in the south. This might not necessarily prevent Israel from entering Gaza, but it could cause a delay due to the need for a more thorough assessment of Hezbollah's intentions, and possibly the reinforcement of forces in the north in the worst-case scenario. Other factors that may contribute to further delays could be international pressure from the United States to avoid civilian casualties. Domestic concerns in Israel regarding continued conflict in Gaza are also increasing. Currently, Israel receives strong support from the United States and seems to have more time to collaborate on resolving the Hamas issue. However, if casualties escalate due to a ground offensive, there will be strong international pressure on Israel to halt the operation. Regarding the ongoing conflict in Gaza, U.S. actions are receiving a great deal of attention from the global community. This is because the United States is both an ally and a country providing clear support for Israel's military campaign in the latest developments. The statement by the National Security Council's spokesperson John Kirby indicates U.S. support for a ceasefire at this time. He emphasized that they are not talking about a ceasefire order at the moment. In fact, they do not believe it is the right time for a complete ceasefire. Israel has the right to self-defense, and there is still much work to be done in pursuing the leaders of Hamas. We will continue to support them. Our focus is to ensure they have what they need to continue this fight. In a statement to CNN on October 23, John Kirby, the spokesperson for the National Security Council's communications strategy, stated that Washington's position is that all hostages held by Hamas in Gaza must be released before discussing a ceasefire. Previously, President Joe Biden also called on Hamas to release the hostages before considering a ceasefire in Gaza. When asked if the White House supports a ceasefire to secure the release of hostages, Mr. Biden initially said, "We should have a ceasefire." However, he later clarified that it's not a ceasefire first. Hostages should be released before that. We can discuss this issue afterward. In the meantime, a senior Hamas official made a strong and specific statement to CNN over the weekend, indicating that there would be no ceasefire in Gaza, and humanitarian efforts should not interfere with the mission of removing Hamas by the Israeli Defense Forces. This view is supported by Michael Oren, former Israeli ambassador to the United States, who asserted on October 23 that a ceasefire would mean that Hamas has won and Israel has lost. In an update released on October 23, Hamas claimed to have captured a total of 222 hostages in the October 7 attack on Israel, including many foreigners. Last week, Hamas released 2 hostages, a mother and her American child, for humanitarian reasons. On the night of October 23, Hamas also released 2 more hostages. The Izz ad-Din al-Qassam brigades, the armed wing of Hamas, stated that the hostages were released for humanitarian reasons at the request of Egypt and Qatar, according to regional media. Notably, the hostages released this time are also women. Israel is yet to secure the release of American citizens among the hostages. In a statement issued on October 22, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin declared strong support for taking action if American citizens are harmed in Gaza. He emphasized that there would be no hesitation in responding to any harm to U.S. citizens and made it clear that there is no ambiguity about the actions taken. Secretary Austin also mentioned that the U.S. would continue to bolster its military presence in the region to send a clear message to those seeking to escalate this conflict. Meanwhile, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken stated that the U.S. anticipates Iranian proxies will seek opportunities to escalate the conflict, and the U.S. is prepared to respond. He also reiterated the message conveyed by Secretary Austin regarding the case of harm to American citizens or U.S. armed forces, warning from the U.S. These statements come as Israel announced its intention to launch a ground and Gaza offensive in retaliation for the Hamas attack on October 7, which resulted in over 1,400 casualties in Israel. Concerns are rising about the evolving conflict in Gaza. On October 23, the Israel Defense Forces continued to carry out numerous airstrikes on various targets throughout Gaza. The IDF spokesperson's office reported that these airstrikes had destroyed 320 Hamas and Islamic Jihad targets in Gaza. Meanwhile, Palestinian health sources reported about 500 more casualties and injuries, with the majority being civilians, including many women and children. The situation in the Gaza conflict remains highly unpredictable, and there is currently no clear resolution in sight. Peace summit negotiations between Israel and Hamas, facilitated by Egypt, have ended, but key players such as Iran, Israel, and the U.S. did not participate. The previous week, the U.S. deployed the USS Carney to the waters near Yemen to help de-escalate tensions in the region, and shortly after, the USS John C. Stennis aircraft carrier arrived in the Arabian Sea. The U.S. has also decided to provide Israel with thousands of 155mm artillery shells, originally intended for Ukraine. These moves have raised concerns that the Israel-Hamas conflict could escalate significantly if the U.S. becomes more deeply involved in the matter. As we conclude today's briefing on the escalating conflict in Gaza, we want to remind everyone about the importance of staying informed. We've covered a broad spectrum of perspectives, from the White House's stance on a potential ceasefire to the intense situation on the ground. The world is a complex place, and it's our mission here at New Horizon Channel to help you navigate it with clarity and insight. As always, we aim to bring you the most up-to-date and comprehensive news coverage. Thank you for choosing New Horizon Channel as your trusted news source. If you found this video informative and helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to our channel for more in-depth coverage of international news. In this ever-changing world, knowledge is power. So stay tuned, stay informed, and we look forward to seeing you in our next video. And the information just provided concludes our international news summary for today. Thank you everyone for following along. Now, it's time to say goodbye, and we'll see you again.